Welcome back for another episode of Theory of Why. My name is Rob Johnson. So I am on location. This is the first time we've done one of these episodes outside of the studio, outside of my office, and I'm in Mount Washington, Kentucky. Joining me on the podcast today is my longest client, excellent friend, tremendous business person, Julian West. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rob.
Now, you've been on, so we have a mutual friend, Clellan Russell. You've been on his show.
Yeah.
What was that experience like being on a podcast and having to walk through your business and explain to listeners what you do?
Well, I mean, it sounds like a great idea until you're there, you know. But like I said, I love Clellan and why the trades. I think it's a great thing to get the kids into the trades. So I enjoyed it. I'm a little critical of myself after watching it, but thought it was a good experience.
I've had the benefit of seeing New Look Roof at near the beginning stages. When did you start the company?
2015.
So, and we came on board in 2019, and the meteoric rise you've had in the last 4 to 5 years, I think is mainly attributed to how you run the company, honesty, integrity, and that's something that I have found to be demonstrably rare in the trades industry. It's hard to find a good person that is in a particular trade that you can trust. Walk me through why that's been such a vital part of the business.
Well, I think it early on, you know, in our business, a lot of people, they claim to be insurance experts or storm experts, and I think for us, we wanted to be roofing and siding experts. And it's not so much, our motto is serve, not sell. So we come in the house and our goal is just to educate the customer. And we feel like if we educate you, then you're going to see through the next couple estimates and hopefully that'll benefit us and you'll consider us when it goes time to make that decision.
Yeah. Something that's always struck me about you is one of the earliest conversations we had, you were telling me about an issue you're having with a client, and I overheard you were talking to one of your sales guys and you said, I don't care if we have to take a loss, we're going to do it and we're going to make it right. And it was at that moment that I was like, all right, this guy's playing the long game. He gets it. He understands the benefit of retaining customers, even if it's a project-based business, because it speaks to the reputation.
Yeah, so as a kid and working for my dad, I seen that there was a gap in this industry. You know, they call it Uncle Buck in the truck, leave an estimate in the mailbox, you know, and it's just the way this trade was. There was a lot of rougher guys and now Hispanic people who don't naturally want to talk to the customer. So I thought if you could have somebody come in the home and educate them and have the husband and the wife there and educate about their job they want and tell them how it's going to go. And then, like you said, not making money off every customer, so chasing the dream rather than chasing the money. And that's kind of what we've done here. If we touch your house, we own it. So if we don't make any money, that's our fault. And I took that as a learning experience, and not to waste too much time beating yourself up about the loss. Learn something and move on, you know. And a lot of times, like if we mess up around here, and everybody in the office is trying to figure out, I'll say, you know what, it's done. Let's move on from it. Let's not waste too much time. We're losing more money talking about what we did wrong rather than just moving on. And I think there's a price for the referral that you pay, you know? So just because the profit's lost on the job, the referral's not lost. So impressing them and making sure that you do a good enough job that your warranty's safe, you know?
Yeah. I see a lot of people in the trades industry not investing enough time into their reputation, whether it's online, Google reviews, or when they have a negative review, they respond extremely poorly. They put all of the blame on the customer. And for you, even if it was something that the customer had a misunderstanding on, you've always done an excellent job, and this trickles down through your whole team of taking ownership for, you know, what you can control in that situation. And I've seen that personally turn a really negative relationship into a positive one because you didn't respond how they thought you were going to.
Yeah.
So where does that, how does that learn from a business perspective? Is it something you were taught as a young age? Is it something that you just had to learn through the cycle of being a business owner?
Well, my dad, one of the main things he told us is like, if you do what you say you're going to do, and show up and be on time. And if you mess up, make it right, you'll have more work than you know what to do with. So I believe that. And also my business has became a storm chasing business. So, you know, reviews and a good reputation is not as important to somebody who's leaving town to follow the next storm. We kind of put our feet down and said this was going to be our territory. This is where we grew up. This is our home. And like I said, it's a service business, so we're here to serve and not sell. So we want to be here for your roof, your daughter's roof, you know, people at your church. We want you to tell other people about us. And to do that, you got to leave a good taste in people's mouth when the job's over, you know?
Yeah. So let's talk about storm chasing for a minute. This was the first time I was really exposed to like how widespread of I'm going to use the word issue this is when I was reading Clelen's book. He goes into really good detail about how problematic storm chasers can be because they come in, they do the job, and they leave town. Mm-hmm. There's no one there to back that warranty. Is that something that's always been in the center of the roofing business, or is that a newer thing?
As long as I've been in, this is my 22nd year, it's always been a thing. And a lot of times it's either feast or famine. If you're a hometown guy, you're waiting on the storm to come. There's some companies, their whole motto is watch the radar, where it pops up, they go. And that's a lucrative business. And I've fought with myself back and forth about how I approach that, but I felt deep in my heart though that you could have a lucrative business, you know, and with our siding, our windows, gutters, and roofing, we stay busy and stay with the volume that we need. Another thing too is like insurance adjusters. So a lot of your storm chasers, supplementing is a big thing. So the industry standard is if you do $1 million in work, there's a possible $100,000 in supplements. That's kind of the industry standard. So what that means is if insurance approves $20,000 for a house, the contractor will go back and supplement another $5 or $10 from the insurance for things that we don't believe that you actually need, but it raises the price. But what that also does is it makes adjusters mad. It makes them frustrated. Insurance is frustrated because you're now asking for money that wasn't actually needed. That's another thing I've struggled with because nobody wants to leave a lot of money on the table, but I thought, you know, that may be something that's good for storm chasers. It's not good for us. So we're hometown. We got the same adjusters every week, every year, and we want them to know that we're honest and we're just trying to put the house back the way it was before the storm. We're not trying to get any extra or any more. And that's benefit us with the storm. So if we're on one of my family's roofs and it's kind of iffy whether it should be approved, it seems to fall in our favor more often now because they know that we don't take advantage of the situation. So last year, $7 million in revenue, 0 supplements. And with this year's storm, I think that was a big benefit for us because like if we call the insurance and we tell them that there's a claim, the adjuster's going to take our word for it more than they would if we had supplemented them the year prior, you know?
Yeah. You've built up the credibility, and that's something that you can't buy. So like if someone comes to me as a marketing agency, I can't give them instant credibility overnight. That's something that you have to earn.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of newer businesses don't have the patience for, and that's why the business close rate, I think, is what it is. Not because of capital, but because they're not willing to be in the game for a long period of time. Something that you guys do that I think is exceptionally great is something that I've tried to model in my business from the beginning as well, which is when someone comes to me for something, and it's in the realm of what I do. So if it's marketing and I'm just an SEO company or I'm just a website company or just an ad company, it makes more sense if I can build the company over time to be able to do all of those things. Yeah. You've done that really well in that if I call you for a roof and you come out and you're like, oh my goodness, there's all these problems with the gutters. And did you know that, these windows are about ready to leak? Like you can assess the entire exterior of a home and put together an honest proposal of what someone's going to need. And my experience with a lot of roofers is they don't like to do everything, but for some reason you guys do. So tell me why that is.
Well, like you said, most your bigger roofing companies in the Louisville area do not do repairs.
Yeah.
And I get it because oftentimes either our repair is not profitable or we may not even get paid for it. It seems like the smaller ticket items we're more likely to get beat for. But I tell my guys it's an opportunity to put you in front of a consumer. A lot of people pay good money for marketing to bring customers their way. And if somebody calls for a repair that nobody else in the city will do, it's an opportunity for us to go there and meet them. And yeah, it may be a $200 repair, but it'll come back to benefit. It's like, this past year with the storm, we did over 1,000 roofs. A lot of those people called us because the year before, 2 years before, we did a $200 repair for them. So like you said, playing the long game and just knowing we're here to help. Our main goal is not to get rich. We're chasing the dream and not just the money.
You guys have invested a lot in education over the last 5 years that I've been around, and it seems like making sure that your guys are well educated in the field is going to lead to a lot of beneficial, let's call them byproducts, safety on the job, knowledge, and even things like being able to upsell a customer because they know what the next best thing is going to be for them to do. Where has education played a role in the company, and how important is it going to be moving forward?
So I seen, and not bragging, but I had a rare upbringing because instead of college, I worked for a roofing company. So by the time I was 15, I started working for my dad. So I found myself as a roofing expert, whether I tried to or not, and I seen how often that helped my sales and would deter a job from another customer to me. So I thought it'd be really important for my guys to be the same way. So instead of having 20 salespeople that knew a little bit about the trade, I'd rather have 2 or 3 that I felt that were experts. We call it homeotologist, a doctor of homes, and to be a homeotologist, you got to do the work. So if there's something we don't know, we do the continued education to figure it out. So for me, I felt like I knew quite a bit about roofing. So 8 years ago when I started the business, I didn't feel like what I knew about siding was enough. So we started bringing James Hardy in, Mastic in, and these people to educate us on their suggested install practices. And then that's just trickled down to my sales guys, the installers. It made us the only elite preferred installer for Hardy in the state of Kentucky. So I feel like indirectly we gained a lot of stuff by just trying to get a little bit of knowledge.
I think something that's really undervalued in business is continued education, because roofing, it might seem like, well, it's been the same for the last 70 years. Technology has changed tremendously. Yeah. I look at what James Hardy's done in siding, and one, it's aesthetically, it's beautiful, right? And it's also extremely durable, extremely safe. It's an excellent product. That technology has evolved over the last 10 years, and if you're not staying on top of it, you could be recommending a product that's subpar to something that's existing, and it might be a comparable price.
Exactly. Or if you're not staying on top of your knowledge on how to install that product, then that product takes over the market as it has, and then you're kind of left in the dust. It's like the house phone.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to talk about the ontology of the business, how it came about, and also looking back, it's been almost 10 years since you've owned New Look Roof and started it. What's it like looking back to where you were in 2015 to seeing how things have evolved in 2023?
It blows me away. Just filled with gratitude, honestly, because I set my goals, and then I feel like God took them to a whole nother level. So I feel like I would have sold myself short had I been able to do it. We did a commercial project. It was $3 million in Cincinnati, and when I went up there to get the inspection, I just looked at the building, and I was just sitting there just like, this is crazy, We built that, and then now we have 2 more lined up for this coming up year. And it's like I said, it's been really fulfilling watching my friends and employees make it too. It's not just me. I've already exceeded what I ever thought I would do, but it's fulfilling watching my sales guys do good, office manager do good, training a project manager.
Yeah.
So it's been stressful. There was a lot that I didn't know. I thought that all you had to do is be a decent salesperson and have knowledge of the trade to own a company, and that's just not true. There's, you got to be kind of good at marketing, human resources, counting. It's.
Well, you mentioned human resources. There's so much turnover in the trades. People going back and forth between companies. If you don't have a good offering or a good company or even like a good system of, let's say core values, what is there for people to hold on to? What is there for them to stick around for? And I think, I've seen the same people at New Look Roof pretty much since I've started. If anything, the team has just grown, and that's a tremendous credit to how you handle things as a leader. And it's always something that I'm sure you're evolving on. I'm sure you're a much better leader now than you were last year and the year before, and it's something that's always changing.
Yeah, so we try to hire within, try to have the best team. If they're not the best, we need to find who's better. And like our project manager was one of our siding guys. We brought him on to be the project manager and let him manage all the siding crews. And I also feel like if you're sharing the wealth and you're building it together, it's not just mine, you're working for me, we're doing this together. And I'm not greedy with what we make, and like I said, be a team player. We're all same team, same goal,
Yeah. So what led you to start the company? Because it's a tremendous thing to say, okay, I'm going to go off on my own and do my own thing and start off and put out my own sign. And what were the events that led up to you in 2015 saying, all right, I'm going to do this?
So I thought it would be really hard to start a roofing company because insurance is super high. And as a kid, I would watch my dad's sales guys. They would go to start their own company during a storm and almost always came back, after the storm was over. So I initially I had a job at a pipeline, and it didn't pay a whole lot, but I had a 401k and had insurance and was playing the safe route. So I was like, this isn't enough money. I had a kid on the way, so I decided to buy a gutter machine. Gutters was less insurance, less risk, so I was just doing gutters on the side. But with being so well versed in roofing, and roofing was my background, it seemed like everywhere I went I'd see a discontinued shingle. So in 2014 or 15, I sold about 6 roofs. The Southern pipeline that I was working for wasn't real happy with me because I was taking phone calls and working on gas pipes, and they let me go. And it was weird. I just got a weird feeling that it was meant to be, that I could do more. And I enjoyed being in a different place every day, a different customer, a different house. I enjoyed talking with people. And like I said, I'm a big believer in God, and I'm a Christian, and it wasn't very long after they let me go that there was a hailstorm hit in Bardstown. So we went from doing 6 roofs. Before that, the hailstorm, I sold 200 plus roofs in a hailstorm. And I came back home to my wife. I told her, I said, this is a fluke, we're going to have to figure out a different game plan. The storm's not going to hit every year. So instead of taking that money and spending it, we put it into marketing. We knew SEO. I knew that the phone book was dying and Google was taking over. I wrapped 2 trucks to make it look like I had 50. So we looked like a company that could take care of big jobs.
Yeah.
And like I said, then God showed up again. A guy that I sit next to at church, his brother was in charge of Lowe's. So we became the Lowe's installer for the city. We did 26 stores for almost 5 years. And it was lower profit, but higher volume. So it was enough volume for me to pay my insurance, pay my guys, and create a great team. It wasn't a whole lot in it for me, but I figured if you got the best team, eventually you're gonna get the work, and it was true.
And that's something I talk to business owners a lot when I do consulting, is building foundations. And like when I talk about hiring practices or even how you're going to structure your service models, if you don't have those key foundations in, that's what you lean back on when times are hard. And if you have no support system, no safety net, no framework or foundation to work from, when times get hard, you're going to fall on nothing. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I've always enjoyed watching you work on, is continuing to build those foundations and those safety nets. So when times are hard, when the season isn't as fruitful with storms, or if business isn't as rock solid as it should be, you have a lot of solid support structure to fall back on. I think that's why you've been around as long as you have. Yeah,
and there's nothing I love more than jumping in that truck and going to look at a roof and talking to a customer. So I honestly don't care if we do 10 million or if we do $1 million. If the business slows down, I'm going to get in that truck and I'm going to go talk to one person. I'm going to knock on somebody's door, and I'll be just as happy with that. It's what I've been doing since I could drive, and I don't ever see retiring. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy working with my business is family now, so it's just an extension of my family, and I enjoy what I do. So I feel like I never work.
One thing that we covered last summer when we were down here was this historical project that you guys worked on. And was there some vetting process that had to go into place for you guys to, be commissioned to work on historical houses, or what's that process look like?
So I'm sure the customer that owned the house did some vetting. They had multiple estimates. Us being a preferred installer for Hardy helped a lot, and also too, between all the framing jobs and room additions and our relationship with the city as far as permits goes, that helped a lot too. So when the customer reached out to the Historical Society and they say, yeah, we know New Look, and the Codes and Regulations office, they knew who we were. So that helped a lot. And then, like you said, our online presence, we have, I think, 300, 200 something good reviews. That's not easy. You can't really fake that many reviews.
No.
And then, like I said, I just let them know that you're not going to give me a penny till you're satisfied. That's a big game changer too. We don't need half your money. So I'm going to be doing the work to earn my money. So it's a peace of mind for the consumer to take that worry off their plate. And I'm sold out to this. So I tell people, I say, if I tear your house down, I would spend every dollar I got to build it back, and I mean that. If I touch your house, I own it. If we're working on your siding and one of your electrical pipe or electrical wires arc, that's my fault.
Yeah.
I don't care if a house was built in 1900, it's my fault. I was there working, and I feel like that peace of mind and the passion that comes off when I tell the customer that sells the job for us.
So on the historic houses, is there any level of anxiety going into a house that's 150 or 170 years old because you don't really know what you're going to discover, or is it just, we're gonna deal with it as it comes in?
So yes, there is a little bit of anxiety about it. We've gotten better. We go ahead and put our bad wood charge beforehand, so we tell them, hey, this is what it's going to cost if we find any bad wood or anything like that. And we feel like that's a conflict of interest, so we don't put profit on bad wood. It's just the guy's labor and the price of the wood. Yeah. So I feel like that makes the customers have a little trust. They're like, oh, we're not here to get rich.
Yeah.
It's both our problems. If we tear all your siding off and there's no wood, we're going to put the wood back so we can put our siding. Our siding is the job that is profitable, that we're going to make money on. So we're in this with you. Same thing with insulation. We've done a few historical houses in the St. James area, Cherokee Triangle area, where we get all the siding off, and now you're looking at 2x4s and plaster walls on the other side. So you don't want to spend 40, 50 grand on siding and not have insulation behind it. So we go get the insulation, we insulate it from outside, plywood, and then the siding.
Yeah. You'd mentioned before when you were talking about going into these historical homes and, backing the work and making sure that, you guys are accountable and responsible for if you touch the home, you own it. What a lot of business owners don't understand is when you go into a negotiation or even a project with that mindset, that takes a lot of the anxiety of what is the client going to say off the table. Mm-hmm. So in our business, we model this extreme ownership concept. And when I go into a conversation with a client, there's nothing that they can say to me that I'm not going to own. So there's no fear when I'm going into a tense negotiation, because whatever they're going to say, if we did something wrong, we're just going to own it. We're not going to sit there and point fingers and shift blame and like for you guys, oh no, it was the gutter guy that did this, or it was the electrician. It's like, no, we're going to own it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to solve it for you.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of the stress out of the actual practicality of the business.
I agree. And I feel like if you are a service industry, company, and you've been doing work in this city and this isn't your first job, then you should be prepared for it. You should have the funds to back it up. Yep. And I think that kind of reciprocates from us, and the customer knows, look at our Facebook page. We were doing the same job 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. You can go back through our Facebook page, go 3 years and click on a picture, and if you want to talk to that customer, you can talk to that customer, and they're all local people,
So what's next for New Look Roof? We have almost 10 years in the books. What are you looking forward to in the next 10 years?
I would be content with just keeping it the way it is. I feel like we can probably hone in our systems and our processes, the way we communicate, just trying to get better at what we do. I don't like a company that says they're experts in everything, because it's not possible for you to be an expert at everything. Trying to be an expert at 2 or 3 things should take up all your time, and that's what it does. We do a little bit of framing. room additions. But basically, we just want to get better at what we do and serve as many people as we can.
Yeah, I think the longevity of a business and seeing it also grow, like I think you and I all know companies that have been 2 people for 20 years. And they're like, well, we can never grow. It's like, well, we know why, right? We see the personality. I love what is it, Uncle Buck in the truck? I love that, because it's the perfect embodiment of a business that refuses to grow because they don't want to listen to anybody but themselves. And one of the best signs of someone who can grow is, are you willing to listen to other people? You don't have to listen to everybody, because you know as well as I do, the moment you start a business, everyone in your family automatically becomes a business expert. And it's like, you work at Walmart, Donnie. What the hell are you talking about? You know, I don't need your advice. But it's taking the right people and making sure that they are strategically aligned with the growth of the business. And a lot of people just don't do that. They just put earmuffs on and they just, walk in that same straight line. And that's why after 20 years, the business still looks a lot like it did 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I feel like if you know everything, you can't learn nothing, Yeah. And a suggestion is just a suggestion, I anytime I have a really important decision, I run it by 3 or 4 people, and then I make my decision based on what they all thought, I may be blocked off because of different things, sometimes I'm so passionate about my business, I'm in the middle of it, it's my baby, that I miss what the common sense thing is to do, I learned too, they call it the bottleneck effect. Business grows, but it goes through one person, and then it gets so big that one person busts. And I didn't want that to happen to me, and I knew that I could only serve so many people. And you don't want to bring somebody in, then micromanage them. So what it is find somebody you trust, who has the same goals and the same outlook as you do, and give them a task and let them handle that task, All
right, so for your business, when you think about what type of philosophy you run your business by, like what's one of the biggest mottos that you have, or something that, like a particular principle that you run your business through?
One of the main ones, like I said, serve, not sell, and treat a customer like it's your home or your mother's home, and I feel like if you always look at it like that, then it's not just you're not just selling them a product or a service, you're looking at what's going to best serve them throughout the next couple of years. So like if a lady calls me for a $500 repair and I know that she's going to need a roof in a couple of years, I may do the $100 repair just to get her till next year, and that's, like I said, that's looking at her house as if that was your mother or your own house, I think that's kind of been our motto, and it works,
It's really interesting when I am coaching a newer business and going through and consulting on their strategy, and they think that there's some, grand secret or something that it takes to actually build a business successfully, when really all it is if you did the 2 things that you just said, serve, not sell, and treat someone's home like it's your own. If you actually lived by both of those principles, your business would be successful. There's no secrets. It's the discipline in executing those simple things that I would think is the most difficult. Can you do that consistently? Can you repeat it? And can you distill it down to your team in a way that they buy into those principles as well?
Yeah.
And that can be difficult sometimes. So, Julian, I love that we get to work with you. I think it's been fantastic to see the rise that you've had here, even the shop that you've built here, and how the team continues to grow. Tell me one thing that was unexpected in the growth of New Look Roof as we close today. One thing that you were like, I really didn't plan on this happening, and it's awesome that it did.
I guess the amount of people we were able to help, I didn't plan on that. That has been awesome. There's been a lot of things that I didn't plan on that probably weren't so awesome, as far as like the stress, the late nights, the reviews, bad reviews keeping me up, which we usually handle those and get those removed. But I didn't realize that I was basically selling my soul. I got the phone with me 24 24/7. It doesn't matter what time it is. With me being the owner and having so many jobs going on in the city, I got to be available at any time, you know, and that's a big commitment.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going on 9 years now, and I've been glued to the phone since then.
Is there a time that you're looking to pull back a little bit? You know, put some more decentralized command in place to limit that, or in the roofing industry, is that just something that's not practical?
No, I think I will eventually bring in a general manager, but I want to do that at a time to where I don't have to charge the customer for it.
I see.
You know, I don't want to up my prices to pay for a general manager. I want to take it out of my payroll. So I'm thinking in a few years, when I can do that, then that's probably what we'll do.
Got it. Well, Julian, it's a real pleasure, man. I appreciate you being on the
Appreciate
show.
you, buddy.
First mobile show here in Mount Washington, Kentucky. I appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you next week. Take care.